to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queens.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamin. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. Okay? And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, TikTok at Dr. A Shakur, and Twitter at DGoddess27. All right. Hello, TC Dan. Big Mama's in the house. Jamie. All right. Let's get into it. Most hated bronze flat power God. Reggie is here. Said often imitated but never duplicated. The authentic original queen of receipts. Thank you. Buckhorse DC. AM is here. Sheila. Anita Harrell. Claudette. All right. Let's get this party started. I see you, Junior. Jamie's in the house. Miss AP. Luna. All right. Auntie Leah is here. Auntie Leah, I forgot to email you, beloved. I'm sorry. Nessie X, D Lovely, Red Wine Entertainment, Ruthia. All right, Giggles, I see you. Desmond. Namaste is here. Marie James. Okay, shout out to all my loyal royals in the chat. Everyone tuned in to the Queen. A big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I see you, April. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because this is all nefarious. Didn't I tell you guys that this was going to get real ugly real quick? Hey, you son. And so that all being said, I see you, Keita B and Sean. Well, that all being said, it looks like a whole smear campaign has been launched against attorney Tony Busby. Okay, now they're out here talking about the man's giving out, STDs and all of that. So let's get into it because clearly somebody is desperate. And by somebody, I mean Jay-Z, okay? Please pay attention. And by the way, if you missed the broadcast that I did this morning about Prodigy, the rapper, exposing Jay-Z before he passed, please go back and watch. And I have the full legal docs on both of these cases against Tony Busby. I don't know if I'll go through both of them, but we're definitely going to go through the one about this STD, okay, this venereal disease. And so Rock Nation, Jay-Z's Rock Nation accused of smear campaign against Diddy's accusers, attorney Tony Busby. So another lawsuit was filed against Tony Busby, and it hit out at Jay-Z's Rock Nation. Okay, now in the latest lawsuit, the lawyer was accused of concealing a venereal disease and transmitting it to a former client. What? Now, I want you all to pay attention because here's why I really think that Jay-Z and his team had everything to do with this being filed. Because as I told you all this morning, these lawsuits or these former clients had dealings with Tony Busby over a year ago. Okay. And so now all of a sudden, right at this convenient time, they're filing these lawsuits after Tony Busby, and Tony Busby's already said that he has audio, okay, of them trying to Rock Nation, some of Jay-Z's other attorneys and all that, trying to bribe people into saying things against him to intimidate him from filing lawsuits against Diddy. But let's get into it. And like I also told you guys, if you're wondering why he'd not want those suits filed against Diddy, it's because likely he would be named in some of them somewhere along the line. Now, we know he's already named in one. Whether or not those things are true, we don't know. But here's what they say. In the latest lawsuit, he's accused of transmitting to a former client a venereal disease. Okay, now, Tony Busby says the conspiracy to discredit me and intimidate me from pursuing claims in the Diddy litigation has become criminal. Okay, this latest case, like the others, is frivolous, laughable, and ridiculous, and will be dismissed along with the others. It now seems that every other day there is another false claim filed, all of which are being ginned up by individuals working on behalf or in concert with Rock Nation. Now, Rock Nation was founded in 2006 by Jay-Z as an entertainment company, growing into a massive influence in music. Notably, Busby recently filed a lawsuit on behalf of his client, which accused Jay-Z of sexual misconduct alongside Sean P. Diddy Combs. In response, Jay-Z released a scathing statement, largely attacking Busby's credibility. And let me just tell you this. That's another reason why I absolutely believe that Jay-Z and his team are behind this smear campaign, because that's the first thing that Jay-Z did. When he found out that he was in that lawsuit, when his name was finally called, what did he do? He started attacking Tony Busby's character, his credibility, saying that he's an ambulance chasing attorney in cheap suits and all these things. He immediately went after him in a personal attack rather than trying to defend himself against the allegations. He chose to go on the attack. I'm sorry, but that reeks of guilt, okay? That reeks of guilt. Now, with that all being said, let's get into it. But before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Lights up, everyone, please, like and share.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Now, Auntie Leah says Jay-Z is looking very guilty and don't even notice it. Where is B in her infinite fake wisdom? Yeah, that's a good question, right? That is a good question. Okay, so now let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen so we can go over this lawsuit. And lights up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Because this is just all getting real ugly. And like I said, the best thing to do is to not make a statement in the first place, because as the attorney that I played for you guys earlier this morning, he said you should refrain from making statements simply because it can be used against you later in deposition and in a deposition. And here's the thing. If you do make a statement, let it come from your attorneys. Let your attorneys speak for you. Don't speak for yourself. But, I guess Jay-Z did what he felt he had to do. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, this is filed under the pseudonym Jane Doe. Jane Doe, the plaintiff, by her attorneys, Board PLLC, as and for her complaints herein against Anthony Glenn Busby, defendant, alleges as follows. Plaintiff Jane Doe brings this complaint seeking compensation for the harm she has suffered at the hands of defendant Anthony Glenn Busby for his repeated failure to put his ethical obligations as an attorney over his own self-interest. Defendant's deceit and lack of care left plaintiff with an incurable disease and caused her to lose out on assets that she should have retained through her divorce. Not an incurable disease, so I'm sure we can all pretty much guess which one they're trying to say that he gave her, allegedly. Now, since 2018, defendant has taken advantage of plaintiff for his own personal gain, but that ends now. The first time the parties met, defendant lured her into having an sexual encounter with him by concealing the fact that he had a venereal disease. Defendant knew of the risk that he would pass the disease to plaintiff if he did not take the appropriate precautions, and when that risk materialized, he manipulated her to protect himself from reputational harm by using his status as a licensed attorney. Defendant convinced plaintiff to waive her right to monetary compensation, contracting a venereal disease from defendant in exchange for free legal services. I'm sorry, what? This all sounds so nefarious. And then became possessive of plaintiff in an effort to keep her close and prevent her from exposing him for what he did to her. Now, on one occasion, defendant became physically violent when he observed plaintiff speaking to another man at a bar in New York, leaving her with 2 broken teeth. Plaintiff became fearful of what defendant would do if she ever spoke out against defendant. In 2021, as a result of defendant's manipulation, plaintiff allowed defendant, who had just married a woman 23 years younger than him, to represent her in her divorce. Now, I want you all to pay attention. So, why are they bringing up how much younger his wife is? Okay, it's giving scorn a woman to me, but let's continue. Defendant assured plaintiff that he would fight for her to receive her fair share of the marital assets, but rather than uphold his promises and ethical obligation to zealously advocate for plaintiff's interests within the confines of the law, defendant used the opportunity to doctor plaintiff's medical records to make it look as if he could not have been the one who infected her with a venereal disease. Now, I want you all to pay attention. How could he possibly have doctored her medical records? Excuse me. And even if so, couldn't she simply go back to her medical or her physician and get another copy of the actual results, or go get tested again? Okay, please pay attention. Defendant then used these blatantly falsified records to attempt to blackmail plaintiff's husband to circumvent ordinary negotiations to distribute assets in the context of a divorce. When that failed, defendant arranged a settlement that left plaintiff with a fraction of what she should have received in order to resolve the matter as quickly as possible and bury this egregious misconduct. Now, plaintiff Jane Doe is a resident of the state of Texas. Plaintiff has filed an order to show cause seeking permission to proceed under the pseudonym Jane Doe in order to avoid reputational harm and collateral consequences from public disclosure of her sensitive medical information. Upon information and belief, defendant Anthony Glenn Busby is a resident of Texas and maintains a residence in New York, and is registered to practice law in the state of New York and has been registered to practice law in New York since January 17th of 2019. Defendant's New York attorney registration represents that his business address is located at 600 Travis Street, Suite 7599, Houston, Texas 77002. This court may exercise jurisdiction over defendant pursuant to, okay, I'm going to skip past all of this. Let's get into the factual allegations of it all. Number 1, defendant recklessly gave plaintiff a venereal disease and manipulated her into silence. In early 2018, plaintiff connected with defendant online, where he charmed her with conversation and persuaded her to meet in person for a date. I'm sorry, isn't that what most men do? Isn't that what most men do? Charm you with their conversation in order to get you to go out with them? Please make it all make sense. Now, plaintiff traveled to defendant's hometown of Houston, Texas, where he took her to dinner and a show. After the show, defendant invited plaintiff to stay and have a few drinks, and then he arranged for them to spend the night in a five-star hotel. Defendant seduced plaintiff to engage in sexual activities without disclosing that he had a venereal disease. I'm sorry. Well, if this is your first time meeting up with this man, please make it all make sense. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention because if this is her first time meeting up with this man, honey, why didn't she use protection? I'm sorry, who does that? Okay, Sean R said, y'all is exposing everything. Absolutely, beloved. And we're all here for it with our nosy selves. Okay. Please pay attention. Okay. This is all crazy. But let me continue. Now, after spending the night with the defendant in early 2018, plaintiff began to feel uncomfortable sensations around her growing. Plaintiff made an appointment with her physician to address this issue. Well, you know, I guess that's what happens when you're sleeping around without using anything. Please pay attention. Shortly after the appointment, plaintiff's physician informed plaintiff that she had contracted a venereal disease from her encounter with defendant. Now, I want you all to pay attention. So you mean to tell me that her physician told her who she got it from? He specifically told her that she got it from the defendant. I'm sorry. He wouldn't know who all she slept with for one. Okay, I'm sorry. Just make that make sense. Now, plaintiff's physician shared with her the unfortunate news that the venereal disease was an incurable disease that could cause her pain and embarrassment for the rest of her life. After receiving the venereal disease diagnosis, plaintiff called defendant to inform him that he had transmitted a venereal disease to her. Defendant was apologetic and unsurprised because, on information and belief, he was already aware that he had had a venereal disease and that he did not take appropriate precautions to prevent transmission when they were engaging in sexual activities. So he didn't take precaution and neither did she, if that's the case, okay? If that's the case. Now, you can't just be out here raw dogging and doing all this stuff, honey, with people you don't know like that. These are the things that could happen. Now, goes on to say, I just find this all absolutely nefarious. Now, defendant instructed plaintiff not to tell anyone and offered to provide free legal services as compensation for his deceit and carelessness that resulted in plaintiff contracting an incurable disease. Filled with shame and grief over her diagnosis, plaintiff continued seeing defendant, the only sexual partner she would not have to inform of her venereal disease test results. Defendant became possessive of plaintiff in an effort to keep her close and manipulate her. Okay, who's buying this thus far? Words in the chat if you're buying this. So you mean to tell me that somebody gave you a whole incurable venereal disease, and at the end of the day, you continued to sleep with them? That's what you chose to do? Continued? Miss AP said, just nasty, okay? She should have made him wear a glove. Exactly. I mean, make it all make sense. This is just ridiculous at the end of the day. Booker Cece said, I'm cracking the F up. Okay, I am too, because this is all crazy. Okay, this is all crazy. Southwest Houston, Texas said, how Jay-Z in Houston with all these plaintiffs? Well, they have some law partners that they work with down there. Okay, with that all being said, Nia said, Tisa Tales in here trying to steal content. Y'all need to sit down. Okay, so with that all being said, let us continue. Danita said, this sounds like a fictional romance novel. Not a fictional romance novel, but anyway, let's continue. So defendant began inviting plaintiff on trips with him in his private jet to Panama and New York City, where he owned a residence. Now, after spending the night with the defendant in early 2018, plaintiff began to feel, okay, it looks like they have a bit of a Typo right here. But anyway, while in New York City with defendant, plaintiff and a friend had a drink at a bar. Uncomfortable sensations. She started to feel uncomfortable sensations around her growing. Plaintiff made an appointment with her physician, to where defendant would later meet. Okay, do you all see how this is written? It's like kind of jumbled up, some kind of typo, or not a typo, but it looks like it's just jumbled together. But anyway, let's continue. Now, shortly after the appointment, plaintiff's physician informed her that she had contracted a disease from the encounter with the defendant. So, plaintiff's physician shared with conversing with another patron. Hold on, you guys. I got to figure out what this is supposed to say, because this is looking real crazy. Okay, let me start right here. It skipped from 11 to 17, then goes back to 12. Okay, after spending the night with the defendant in early 2018, plaintiff began to feel uncomfortable sensations around her growing. Okay, that's when she made the appointment with her physician. All right, then it goes on to say, while in New York City with defendant, plaintiff and a friend had a drink at a bar where defendant would later meet them. When defendant entered, he observed plaintiff conversing with another patron in the bar. In a jealous rage, defendant smashed plaintiff's glass into her face, causing plaintiff's front teeth to chip. Plaintiff became fearful of what defendant would do if she ever spoke out against defendant and stayed silent until filing this lawsuit. After he got into it with Jay-Z and his team. I mean, how convenient. Now, defendant committed legal malpractice and violated his ethical duties to cover up his misdeeds. Approximately 2.5 years later, in 2021, plaintiff and her then husband initiated a divorce. So you mean to tell me she had a whole incurable disease that she got from Mr. Busby, and then she married someone? Now, did she tell her husband that she had this? I just have several questions. Consistent with his promise to provide free legal services in exchange for plaintiff's silence, defendant undertook representation of plaintiff in their divorce. Defendant assured plaintiff that he would fight for her to receive her fair share of the marital assets. Defendant used his position as plaintiff's sole attorney as an opportunity to doctor plaintiff's medical records to make it look as if he could not have been the one who infected her with a venereal disease. Specifically, defendant falsified the test to show that she had contracted the venereal disease in 2020 from her soon-to-be ex-husband rather than in 2018 from the defendant. You know what? That sounds plausible. That sounds like what really happened, you guys. That sounds like what really happened. Because for one, if she had gotten it from Tony Busby, who's going to marry her with a whole incurable disease? Okay, that's for number one. But for number two, how is she going to say that Busby doctored the test results? Like I said, she could easily have gotten retested. Or, well, actually, no, because then it wouldn't prove the date and the timing of it. So she still could have gone back to the previous physician if it actually happened in 2018 and that's when she got tested. She could have gone right back to that doctor and gotten another copy of those results because they keep those things on file and in record. So she needs to sit down somewhere because I'm not believing it. Okay, I think she was clearly put up to this BS, but let's continue. So on April 13th of 2021, defendant sent a demand letter to plaintiff's husband with a knowingly fraudulent claim that he, rather than defendant, had infected plaintiff with a venereal disease. Defendant's attempt to blackmail did not work, and plaintiff's husband continued to litigate the divorce. Now, here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention because it says the defendant, which is Tony Busby, sent a demand letter to the plaintiff's husband with a knowingly fraudulent claim that the husband gave it to her. Well, if he sent a demand letter, he sent it on her behalf. Are you all following this? I need you to really be following this because if he was representing her in the divorce, then him sending a demand letter would be on the behalf and at the behest of his client. So now she's trying to say that it was knowingly fraudulent. Well, wouldn't she have been involved in the fraud? if that were true, because she is the one he was representing. And the only reason Tony Busby would have had to send a demand letter to her husband was because she was his client. Okay? That's how that works. So on June 14th of 2021, prior to mediation in the divorce proceeding, plaintiff's husband made requests for discovery relating to defendant. Now, defendant insisted that the divorce settle quickly and without discovery. On information and belief, defendant provided this advice to avoid production of documents, okay, that would uncover his fraud and his role in infecting the plaintiff with the venereal disease in 2018. This is all so crazy. I want you all to pay attention. Now, it goes on to say, at defendant's insistence and direction, plaintiff entered into a divorce agreement, rather a divorce settlement that resulted in a dramatic loss for plaintiff, who otherwise stood to recover an equitable split of the marital assets. Defendant also directed that the divorce settlement include an arbitration clause precluding plaintiff from further litigation with her husband. On information and belief, defendant inserted this term to prevent his involvement from being exposed in the courts open to the public. Now, first cause of action, legal malpractice. Plaintiff incorporates by reference all of the foregoing allegations as though fully set forth herein. Defendant represented plaintiff during plaintiff's divorce and 2021. During defendant's representation of plaintiff, defendant induced plaintiff to engage in mediation and agree to a settlement without litigation or discovery. By causing plaintiff to agree to a settlement without litigation, plaintiff was forced to accept a settlement far below the amount she was otherwise entitled to. As a direct and approximate result of defendant's actions, plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer damages in an amount to be proven at trial. So, like I said, this is all real crazy. At the end of the day, I don't believe this woman. I think that she absolutely got it from her husband. Okay, during defendant's representation of plaintiff, he caused plaintiff to avoid litigation against her husband in the divorce proceeding. Now, plaintiff entered into a divorce agreement and divorce settlement that resulted in a dramatic loss. Okay. With that all being said, further, defendant calls plaintiff's divorce settlement to incorporate an arbitration provision that has deprived the plaintiff of an adequate remedy to litigate issues concerning the divorce settlement. Defendant's actions were undertaken to protect defendant's interest, concealing his blackmail attempts, misconduct as plaintiff's attorney, and a role in infecting plaintiff with a venereal disease in 2018. As a result of defendant's willful neglect of his client's legal rights in her divorce proceedings to protect himself, plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer damages in an amount to be proven at trial. Now, the third cause of action, plaintiff incorporates by reference all of the foregoing allegations as though fully set forth herein. As plaintiff's lawyer in her divorce proceedings, defendant owed plaintiff a fiduciary duty. Defendant's successful efforts to induce plaintiff to accept an inadequate settlement to avoid litigation, which would have resulted in the discovery of defendant's fraud, constitute a breach of defendant's fiduciary duty to plaintiff. So here's the thing. Here's the whole problem with that. She agreed to it. Just like I told you guys this morning, anytime you're in some sort of lawsuit where you're trying to agree to a settlement, and then once you come to that agreement and your attorney secures the settlement, it's up to you to accept it, and you don't have to. Okay, you do not have to. But if you do, and you say that you accept it, how are you now going to complain that you didn't get what you feel that you were supposed to get? Because you should not have agreed to the settlement in the first place. Okay, so make that make sense. She said that he induced her. Defendant's successful efforts to induce plaintiff to accept an inadequate settlement. So she's acting like Mr. Busby just got her, coerced her, persuaded her, or whatever, to go ahead and agree to this settlement that she really didn't want to. No, lady, that's your own fault. Now, defendant's actions were undertaken to protect defendant's interests, concealing his blackmail attempt, misconduct as plaintiff's attorney, and role in infecting plaintiff with a venereal disease. And I want you all to pay attention how the word blackmail is being thrown around in this lawsuit. Why is that important? Because that's also what Jay-Z accused Tony Busby of. So this further reeks of Jay-Z's team getting this woman to file this frivolous lawsuit. That's just my opinion. And maybe she was given a few coins to do so. Because let's not forget, there was someone else who says they were offered $10,000, okay? And so to benefit himself, defendant made material and intentional misrepresentations of present fact to plaintiff, including that he was advocating for her interests as counsel in her divorce proceedings. Defendant knew these representations were material, false, and misleading. In reality, defendant used his position as plaintiff's attorney to serve his own interests at the detriment of plaintiff. Defendant made these misrepresentations with the intent and expectation that plaintiff would rely on them. Plaintiff reasonably relied on defendant's misrepresentations, without which plaintiff would have been entitled to a larger portion of the marital assets. But for defendant's misrepresentations, plaintiff would not have entered into the divorce settlement and would not have agreed to any distribution of assets less than what she was legally entitled to under the Texas Family Code. Plaintiff has suffered substantial damage as a direct result of defendant's fraudulent misrepresentations in an amount to be determined at trial. Each of the defendant's acts of fraudulent misrepresentations were willful, wanton, and malicious, entitling plaintiff to punitive damages. What do you all have to say about this? What do you all have to say about this? I find it all so interesting. I am says her peas, not his peas, her peas. Okay. CN2 says, was she married when she started dating him? No, it says that she got married after the fact, beloved. It says that she got married after the fact. And that's why my question is, if Tony Busby gave her this incurable disease in 2018, did she tell this information to her husband and he still married her? You see, I have questions because here's the thing. If she had this prior to getting married and then she gets a divorce, the husband could have used that against her in the divorce settlement. Okay? He could have used it against her. I don't believe that she got it from Tony Busby. I believe that she likely got it from her husband at the end of the day. This just all sounds ridiculous to me. I think she's absolutely lying. Okay, Pensilola said she's lying. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. So, it's just not making any sense. Earl said Busby's married also. Yes, but he wasn't married at the time. He wasn't married at the time, I don't believe. I think he got married afterward because they mentioned that in the beginning of the lawsuit that he married a woman 23 years younger than him. Plaintiff incorporates by reference all of the foregoing allegations as through fully set forth herein. Plaintiff's divorce settlement constituted an economic opportunity for plaintiff. As plaintiff's counsel in her divorce proceedings, the defendant was aware of plaintiff's economic opportunity. Now, while aware of that opportunity, defendant induced plaintiff to accept a de minimis settlement to protect defendant's personal interest. And that means a smaller settlement than what she was absolutely due. That's what she's implying there. Now, as a result of defendant's torturous conduct, plaintiff has suffered and continues to suffer damages in an amount to be proven at trial. Here's the sixth cause of action. Plaintiff incorporates by reference all of the foregoing allegations as though fully set forth herein. Plaintiff entered into the divorce settlement with her ex-husband in 2021. Plaintiff entered into the divorce settlement in reliance of defendant's advice as her attorney. Plaintiff's advice and conduct representing plaintiff in her divorce proceedings constitutes legal malpractice. Plaintiff's ex-husband has taken the position that under the terms of the divorce settlement, plaintiff is not entitled to any portion of the income he recently received from assets he acquired during the marriage. Plaintiff is therefore entitled to a declaration that the terms of the divorce settlement be null and void, or in the alternative, that defendant's malpractice deprived plaintiff of the divorce settlement and is the result of legal malpractice entitling plaintiff to renegotiate or receive a portion of the assets, the marital assets. An actual justable controversy exists between plaintiff and defendant whether the divorce settlement is the result of legal malpractice entitling plaintiff to renegotiate and or receive a portion of the marital assets. Now, a declaratory judgment would serve the useful purpose of clarifying and settling any future interpretation of the divorce settlement. A declaratory judgment would finalize the controversy and offer plaintiff relief. The substantial controversy between the parties is of sufficient immediacy and reality to warrant issuance of a declaratory judgment. So she wants more money from the settlement, and that settlement was how long ago? I'm just wondering why she wouldn't have done this immediately after. Okay, why would she wait all these years? Because she filed for the divorce, or the divorce was filed. I don't know who filed for it, her or the former husband, but it was filed in 2021. And here we are, it's almost 2025. Why would she have waited all of these years? Okay, this is not like a case where someone was, afraid that no one would believe them, or there was, some sort of threats or whatever. So this is your ex-husband that you've already gone to court and done battle with. So why would she wait 3 to 4 years to, come out and file this and now asking for further compensation, asking that the settlement be null and void and wanting a bigger sum? Her former husband, may have already spent that money for all she knows. Now, a declaratory judgment would finalize the controversy and offer plaintiff relief. The substantial controversy between the parties is of sufficient immediacy and reality to warrant issuance of a declaratory judgment. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, by reason of the foregoing, plaintiff hereby respectfully request the following relief against defendant: actual damages, consequential damages, punitive damages, and any such other relief available under the causes of action in an amount to be determined at trial. A declaration that the divorce settlement is null and void, or in the alternative, that defendant's malpractice deprived plaintiff of her right to a portion of the liquidity events. The cost of bringing this suit, including reasonable attorney's fees and such other further and different relief as to the court appears just and proper. Okay, so this was filed today, you guys. Now, you all don't find this all suspicious. This was literally filed today, okay? Y'all see that? Y'all see that? I'm going to need this lady to sit down somewhere. Okay, I'm going to need her to really sit down somewhere. All right. She really needs to sit down somewhere, because at the end of the day, this really reeks of Jay-Z's team having gotten this lady to file this frivolous lawsuit. Ebony Queen says, why not spend time providing to the general public, Jay-Z, that you did not do what you're being accused of doing? We're not stupid. Exactly, beloved. Why doesn't he just do that? Why didn't he do that in the first place? Why didn't he come out, screaming, I didn't do it. I had nothing to do with this. I'm innocent. I don't know who this person is. I never was even at that address on the night of the 2000 VMAs. But no, he chose to come out attacking the attorney. And when people come out on the offense like that, it just reeks of you being guilty. Okay? And, he may not be guilty in this case that he has against him, these allegations against him, but clearly I think he's guilty in something. I think he's guilty of something, because he's doing the most, honey. This is a desperate attempt and a last-ditch effort as far as I'm concerned. This is a desperate attempt and a last-ditch effort. I mean, what do you all think? Because I find it all very interesting. I find it all interesting, but hold on, because they had something to say. They had something to say about these allegations. Okay, in a prior lawsuit obtained, another woman accused Buzbee of malpractice and intimidation. However, an insider close to the anonymous woman told the Mirror that her choice to come forward was unrelated to Busby's current crusade against Diddy, in which the Texas attorney vowed to file over 100 lawsuits against Diddy on behalf of his clients. But Busby isn't backing down, though. He says that he's taken action behind the scenes, noting that prior to filing it, the lawyer demanded $20 million from me, claiming that if I didn't pay, he would trash my reputation, despite being shown that his client's wild claims could not be true. Really? Did y'all hear that? Busby says that prior to this lawsuit being filed about this incurable venereal disease, basically that the attorney who filed it demanded $20 million. Demanded $20 million, claiming that if I didn't pay, he would trash my reputation, despite being shown that his client's wild claims could not be true. We won't just sit back and allow this criminality to continue, he says. We have reported this conduct to the relevant legal authorities, and we will be suing those behind this to put an end to this egregious behavior once and for all. This is all real messy, honey. I'm telling you, this is absolutely nefarious. What do you all have to say about it all? And there's another lawsuit also, by the way. There's another lawsuit, by the way, and I just find this absolutely crazy, okay? Hold on here. Hold on, because I want to find that part where Jay-Z's and his attorneys had something to say. Okay, so yeah, Busby claimed that the attorney at Bohr PLLC demanded $20 million or the firm would trash his reputation. Busby added that he had also reported them for alleged misconduct. Now, the news comes just days after Busby, who announced he was pursuing litigation against Combs in October, was named in 2 federal lawsuits alleging fraud and other misconduct related to his representation of various clients. In response, Busby filed a suit against Jay-Z's Roc Nation, which he accused of paying individuals to sue him as an intimidation tactic, saying that it now seems that every other day there is another false claim filed, all of which are being ginned up by individuals working on behalf or in concert with Roc Nation. Now, it's the second of 2 anonymous lawsuits filed against Busby. And in November, a little over a month after, pay attention, he announced a suit against Combs. An individual identified only as John Doe sued Busby in California for allegedly threatening to implicate him in the Combs lawsuit. Well, we already know who that was. That was Jay-Z. That was Jay-Z right there. But there is another lawsuit against Busby, and this was filed by a man. Let me pull this up real quick. Like some, everyone, please like and share. Now, this one was filed by a man, and he gives his name. His name is Adam Goody. Okay, he filed this against Tony Busby. Plaintiff Adam Goody, by and through undersigned counsel, files this complaint against defendants Anthony G. Busby, aka Tony Busby, Anthony G. Busby LP, doing business as the Busby Law Firm, collectively Busby or Busby Defendants, and John Doe's 1 through 10. Okay, so I mean, y'all don't find it suspicious this man's getting hit with these lawsuits? You guys don't find it suspicious this man's getting hit with these lawsuits? And then after, he has supposed evidence. He has supposed evidence that people have been, that people have been attempted to be bribed, that someone's trying to bribe these people, posing as investigators, state officials, even the police. Jay-Z didn't make Busby have sex with that girl. That lady not lying. Okay, Earl Monroe. Okay, I mean, that's your opinion, beloved, and you're entitled to it. And nobody alleged that Jay-Z made him have anything with her, okay? Nobody made him, or nobody said that he made her, okay? I love the reverse Uno card title. Oh, thank you, Reggie. Thank you. So anyway, I find it all interesting. Okay, even if this is true, it is irrelevant to the Diddy case and Jay-Z, says Arjumon. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But here's the thing. You see, what it is a smear campaign to make Tony Busby look as though he's involved in some sort of malpractice, okay, that he's unethical. The same things that Jay-Z's attorneys have been accused of, okay? And in the case of Jay-Z's attorneys, for the young man who said that the lady's not lying, well, I'm here to tell you she is lying. I'm here to tell you she is lying because, for one, like I said, use common sense, and common sense is absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a thing. You don't have to go to some fancy college or university to pay thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an education. Common sense is absolutely free, beloved. And here's the common sense factor of it all. Okay, just put on your little critical thinking cap if you have one, because here's the bottom line. The woman is lying. For facts. And I'm not saying allegedly she's lying. I'm saying she's absolutely unequivocally lying. And here's why. Now, I'm going to explain this again for the people who rode the short bus, okay? For those of you in the back who rode the short bus, if you go to court and you have to produce your medical records for whatever reason, and your attorney falsifies them to try to hide something that he did inappropriately or anyone else, all you have to do is go to your doctor who took the test and ask him to give you another copy that hasn't been falsified, that hasn't been edited or altered. Okay, that's common sense. Okay, right now, if I have medical records and someone switches it up, changes it, whatever, I can just call my doctor and say, hey, can you send me another copy of that? Someone obviously altered it and did something fraudulent. You see how that works? By the fact that she sat there and says that Tony Busby switched it all up just to hide what he did, that's a lie. Because why wouldn't she go back to the physician who took the test in the first place, beloved? Okay, I'm sorry if I have critical thinking skills, but in fact, I didn't even need them for this. It's just a little bit of common sense, okay? I know some of you love Jay-Z. You want to cape for these celebrities that you don't even know, who've never done anything for you specifically, and whatever goes on with them does not impact your life, however, whatsoever. Okay, so just pay attention to that. And why don't you explain to us why it is that the former NFL star Larry Johnson says that Jay-Z had kids at his party? Let's talk about that, why don't we? Nia says this is a smear campaign on Buzz because he's on Jay-Z's ass. Yes, absolutely it is. And for those of you who missed it, I did a story the other day. Actually, I did the story 5 months ago, but I brought it back to the forefront days ago, how Jay-Z, Beyonce, and a myriad of other people were all accused of S trafficking and drugging people's children and all kinds of nefarious things. And those lawsuits were deemed as frivolous and tossed out. Now, why were they tossed out? Well, maybe some judges were paid off. Okay, just like in the case of the young man who believes Jay-Z is his father, Ramir Satterwade, just like he and his godmother feel that, that somebody in the courts was possibly paid off. That's why there's a federal probe into that right now. That's why there's a federal probe into it, because possibly somebody got paid off. Perhaps they're alleging that the courts, that Jay-Z and his team allegedly colluded with the courts. So I'm sorry, beloved, if I'm shattering your little dreams, okay, of your big-time celebrity that you love and clearly want to cape for. I'm sorry if I'm shattering your dreams at the end of the day. But I'm not going to cape for these people because I don't know them in real life. I'm going to go by what the facts presented say, and I'm going to go by my own common sense because that always works for me. I don't know how yours works, but my common sense always works for me. And unlike some, I actually have a gift of discernment, okay? And I'm calling cap. That's what I'm calling. I'm calling cap, okay? Please pay attention. Okay, Earl says that's what Busby's doing, asking for money. Well, that's what all lawyers do. That's what all lawyers do. But the difference is when Busby sent the demand letter to Jay-Z, he didn't ask for money. There was no mention of money. They say that all it said was to sit down and have a mediation. Now, Busby says this other attorney flat out told him that he wanted $20 million. And if not, I would ruin your reputation. Now, that's blackmail. You see, that's blackmail. Now, Busby's been accused of blackmail by Jay-Z, but Jay-Z has not proven that Busby, in fact, blackmailed or tried to extort him. All right? That's what he hasn't done. So I'm sorry, say what? I'm so sorry, say who? Okay. Pensilola said very suspicious. Claudette says very suspicious. Bobo says timing is everything. Jay-Z, we see your team playing dirty games. Exactly. I mean, think about it. Tony Busby has actual audio. I read to you in the lawsuit this morning, or yesterday, rather, the lawsuit that I read to you yesterday, I read to you the transcripts from the audio recordings. They were literally offering to pay these people money. You don't think these two people that have now filed lawsuits, you don't think that they were offered money and they probably took it to file these lawsuits? Why would you wait 3 years? This lady's absolutely lying. That's just a fact. She is absolutely lying, honey, okay? I'm sorry. That's what she's doing. That's what she's doing. Period. Period. Okay? Arjumon said sex trafficking isn't frivolous. No, it isn't. And I find it interesting that that's what the judges ruled it. Okay? And mind you, beloved, it wasn't just one person. The woman that I told you all about, Charlene Latham, and I heard that woman's now dead. I literally heard that woman is now dead. Now, I haven't been able to confirm that as of yet because I haven't dug into it, but I heard the woman's dead at this point. And there was also a man who said the same allegations. These two people didn't know each other. They all had the same allegations against Jay-Z, Beyonce, and others. Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, Robert Kelly. These are some of the people listed. Disney, Viacom, Miramax. Let's not forget that I've told you all before and shown you the video receipts to prove that Jay-Z was absolutely friends with Harvey Weinstein. Where there's smoke, there's always fire. Now, I'm not saying he did some of the same heinous things that Harvey Weinstein did, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, if somebody comes out accusing him of similar circumstances to what Harvey Weinstein and Diddy did, and these people were in his circle, well, there just might be a possibility that he did. Now, I'm not saying that he did, but I'm saying there just could be a possibility. Okay? So let's not play games. Okay? Let's not play games. Nia said, man, everybody not lying. Exactly. Exactly. Rachel said it's all cons. Yeah. And like I told you all before, Rachel says it's all connected. Absolutely. And like I told you guys before, at the end of the day, you see, I told you all Buzbee's a Mason because I noticed real quick, I caught on to the numerology of it all when he came out talking about those lawsuits, and he was given the code. He was putting it out there. He was basically giving the dog whistle that, to these people, the judges, law enforcement. He was giving them a dog whistle. These other Masons, they know what he was doing. We're going to get this man. We're going to bring him down. And I'm talking about Diddy. Okay, at the end of the day. And you see, Diddy and Jay-Z, they broke the oath. That's what they did. They broke the oath when they sued Diageo and Bacardi. Because you see, the thing is this. When these people, these wealthy upper echelon people, allow people who look like me to come and have a seat at the table, that's not a permanent seat. That's only temporary. And what happens is they use these people against their own people. You see, Jay-Z and Diddy have never been about the Black community. Oh, sure, they throw in Black excellence talking points and make it sound all good, like they're for Black people. But what were they doing? How did they really make the bulk of their money? How did they really make the bulk of their money? From corporate, okay? From doing work with these corporate people and these entities, all right? Selling liquor to the Black community. All right, that's what they did. They made all of this money selling liquor to the Black community, promoting it to our community. In our community, they have liquor stores on almost every other corner. Please pay attention. Okay? Leon Gardner said, Queens connecting the dots. Thank you, beloved. And at the end of the day, here's the thing. I've never heard to this day Jay-Z come out and apologize for the things that he did to his own people in his own community when he was out there selling crack. Now, I'm sorry, what's his name? Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, not the rapper. Okay, Freeway Ricky Ross, the former drug kingpin. He's come out and apologized. He's come out and made recompense. He's come out and said that he's sorry for the harm that he caused. He didn't realize the things he was doing. Okay? Has Jay-Z ever done that? I'm sorry, say what? Has Jay-Z ever done that once? I don't think so. If he has, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Goodness Radio Bo says, I see liquor stores in every community. No, you don't. Stop the lies. No, you don't. You do not see liquor stores in the suburbs. That's what you don't do. Okay, you do not see liquor stores in the suburbs. That's what you don't do. All right? No, you don't. Just like you don't see the beauty supply stores and the nail salons owned by those other people in those areas. That's what you don't do. Okay? You may see them downtown, but you don't see it in their neighborhoods. Stop lying. The Grift Dies Hard here says this is exactly how Jay-Z operates. I remember past lawsuits that Jay-Z had. He was doing the same thing as this back then. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's intimidation tactics. It's intimidation tactics. Okay? And Black people sitting up here caping for him. Please sit down somewhere. Okay? Nia said them ninjas ain't did nothing for the community. Absolutely not. Not that I can recall. Absolutely not. Okay? I'm sorry. What did they do? I mean, they talk about Black excellence, but they're not talking about us. They're talking about themselves. That's who they're talking about. They're talking about themselves at the end of the day. All right? I've seen Rihanna and A$AP Rocky out in the Black community doing the work. Now, I'm not going to say Jay-Z and Diddy haven't, done some things or whatever, but at the end of the day, have they really, really been out here helping Black people? And the letter that I read to you all this morning about Prodigy, what Prodigy exposed about Jay-Z before he died, what did he say? What did he say about the information Jay-Z was withholding from the Black community? And he said that Jay-Z chose to live the beast lifestyle. What is the beast lifestyle? You know what that is. They talk about in the Bible in the book of Revelation. Okay? The Antichrist lifestyle. That's what that is. All right? He's friends with Marina Abramovich. But we're supposed to think he cares about Black people. Please sit down somewhere. You sound ridiculous. Miranda says, I've never seen Jay-Z or Beyonce outdo a community service. Nor have I. Nor have I. They may have donated a few things, for tax write-offs, but out there really putting in work, not seen it. And I believe everything that Prodigy said about Jay-Z. I believe everything that he said. He knew Jay-Z in real life. None of us do. So anybody in the chat, mad and butthurt, been out of shape, that's just too bad because you don't have to be in my chat. That's for number one. No, Queen, I see liquor stores in every community. What I don't see in rich neighborhoods are fast food joints like McDonald's and Burger King. Yeah, well, I don't think you see liquor stores in rich communities, okay? I don't. I think you may see them downtown. I think you may see them outside of their areas, okay? I don't think you see them literally in their neighborhoods. That's what I don't think. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Okay, that's my opinion. Beyonce scheduled them $1,000 ticket concerts around tax time. Not around tax time. Oh, you all are something else. Ebony said, I'll have to go back and watch the Prodigy video. Yes, go back and check that out, beloved, okay? Go back and check that out because nobody seems to have remembered that letter that Prodigy wrote, okay, about Jay-Z before he suspiciously choked on an egg in the hospital. That's what we're supposed to think killed him? Yeah, I don't believe that. Never did believe it. Never did believe it. I live in New York, every part. Trust me, liquor stores in rich neighborhoods. Okay. Okay. If you say so, beloved, I'll tell you what, in New York, that may be the case, but in most states, they're not having liquor stores out by the suburbs. Okay. That's what they're not doing. Queen, you aren't lying at all. Thank you, beloved. You're not wrong, Queen. Thank you. 44 years of my life, I've never seen liquor stores in other communities. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. I know I ain't crazy. Okay. I know I'm not crazy. Now, with that all being said, let's get into the rest of this other lawsuit by this man by the name of Adam Goody, who also has sued Tony Busby. Let's see what he's talking about. Now, maybe he's telling the truth, but that remains to be seen. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Trisha says liquor stores are not in every community. BC Carter says you don't see liquor stores on the same block as their homes. On the same block as their homes. Right. Exactly. And that's my point. That's my point. I'm not saying that if you drive outside of the suburbs, there may be one a few miles away, but I'm talking about in their community. Like in the Black community, there's liquor stores on the corner, okay, in your neighborhood. In some cases, fast food joints too. Okay, so let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Right, so here we go. So Tony Busby and the Busby law firm represented Adam Goody, a U.S. Coast Guard licensed ship captain who was severely injured on the job. The Busby defendants told Goody his case was worth $1 million, but later coerced him into settling for less than 1/3 of that amount. Now, in insisting that he settle, Busby defendants never explained Goody's options, never discussed the pros and cons of trial versus settlement, never disclosed mounting expenses, and never disclosed the meager amount Goody would receive at distribution. Instead, Busby defendants told Goody he had no choice. Goody was vulnerable. He had lost his job as a result of his injury. He was financially destitute. His marriage had failed, and he was struggling with addiction. Relying on his lawyers, Goody accepted. No, here's the thing. He accepted because he was on drugs. Okay, there you go. There it is right there. He accepted because he was on drugs. And that's likely why he was able to take that money this time around that Jay-Z's team offered him. I'm willing to bet. Now, of course, this is all alleged. Of course, this is all alleged, but somebody on drugs, please pay attention. Okay, with that all being said, he signed for the settlement. Ebony says, sounds like this man signed the settlement deal without reading it. That's probably exactly what he did, because I'm going to tell you all this. Okay, so years ago, I was in a car accident and I had a settlement. I had an attorney and she was trying to pressure me to settle because she was, she wanted to go ahead and settle the case, but I wasn't happy with the amount. And here's what she did. She accepted the settlement on my behalf. And then calls me and says, oh, they wanted to give you this amount of dollars. And I said, no, I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it. I want more than that. And then she said, well, I already accepted and they've already sent over the check. I said, I don't give a damn what they sent you. You send that check right back and you tell them that I don't accept it. Okay, that's what you do. I said, do not play with me because remember, you work for me, work for you. And it's your fiduciary duty to do what I want, not out of your own necessity. Okay. And I went off on her so bad, she started crying and talking about, well, I'm sorry, Queen. My father is sick. And I'm like, lady, I'm sorry your father's sick. But like I said, I'm not accepting that. Send it right back over to them and tell them that's not going to cut it. Okay. That's not going to cut it. Reggie said, did you sue her, Queen? I didn't have to sue her, honey, because by the time I got her together real quick, she sent that darn check back and came back with what the Queen wanted. That's how that works. I don't think she knew who she was messing with, honey. Please pay attention. The Griff Dies Hard here says Jay-Z's making a damn fool of himself. He thinks people are stupid. Clearly he does. Okay, clearly he does. I don't know why y'all are laughing because I am so serious. I went in on that lady. Okay, I went in on her so bad. I don't play about my coins, honey. It's two things I don't play about. My sons and my coins. Oh, and my man, by the way. Okay, now Winnie T says there are only 2 beauty supply stores where I live. Shaking my head. Okay. Adrian says, Queen, you always at Lady $10. You always hold on at Lady $10 for making her cry. Oh, you said I owe her $10 for making her cry, honey? I don't owe her nothing, honey. She got what she asked for. Sitting there trying to make me settle when I didn't want it. I mean, she was trying to hurry up and settle that case. That's all it was. And here's the thing, beloveds. Sometimes these attorneys will try to rush you or pressure you into a settlement. This is true. Now, maybe they did try to get this man to go ahead and settle because that's what lawyers do. They want the money and they want to settle the case and move on to the next. But if you are not ready to settle, if it is an amount to which you don't feel comfortable with and you want more, then you can always refuse. Okay, and that should be common sense for anyone who's an adult. I think this man was on drugs. Well, he said he was on drugs, but I think the fact that he was on drugs is the reason he did it. Jeff ATL says Queen will bring a mother ucker to tears or at least hurt feelings. You know I will. You know I absolutely will. So Bobo says I want Queen on my side. Honey, I'm on your side. Please pay attention. Okay, now let's get to it. So anyway, he goes on to say that he was struggling with addiction, relying on his lawyers he accepted. Now, when the settlement funds were dispersed, Goody was stunned to receive only $5,123.19. This is all nefarious. Tony Busby, now if you took $1 million and gave that man peanuts, now you need your arse whooped. The Busby defendants had taken 98% of Goody's final disbursement and 74% of his overall settlement. Now, this absolutely better be a lie, okay? Because this is all nefarious, okay? A lawyer should not get more than 33%. If they go to trial, it's usually like 40%. 98% is crazy work. Now, the Busby law firm deducted $53,000 in fees and $226,876 in expenses, including $90,920 for expert witness fees. What? $5,935 for postage and copies, $9,763 for more copies, $9,493 for attorney travel expenses, and adding insults. Goodness, hold on. Now, I don't know what to say about this. If Tony Busby did this, Tony Busby, you need your arse whooped. Goodness, Reddit Bo said, I thought it was 33 and a third. That's what I thought too, beloved. This man was robbed. Do you hear me? If he's telling the truth, this man was clearly robbed, okay? Oh, really said, now that's egregious and also nefarious. Okay, this is all wrong. I am through, okay? Juju said, I'm hollering. Red White Entertainment said, them fighting words, okay? You done told me I get $1 million and you're going to have me a check for $5,000. No, it's not happening. Somebody's going to tell me something, honey. If that had been me, I would have showed up to Tony Busby's office just like TLC showed up to Clive Davis's office, okay? Ready to do damage. Y'all better pay attention. This is all crazy, but let's continue. It says, moreover, the Busby defendants deducted $25,723 in fees and expenses for a referring attorney who, despite properly handing off Goody, claimed that he accumulated $4,523 in expenses. Honey, this is all drastic. Worst of all, perhaps the Busby defendants charged Goody $23,571 in interest and $85,450 in loans. What? The rules of professional conduct require fairness and transparency in any financial transaction with the client. Even then, the amount of interest a lawyer can charge a client is limited. The Busby defendants kept Goody in the dark as his loans grew by 27%. Okay, let me tell you all something. I know what happened here. Listen, guys, I think I know exactly what happened here. Okay? Reggie says, Queen thinking on the same lag tonight, like TLC for sure. Okay? Let me tell you guys something. I think I know exactly what happened. You notice how they keep talking about loans? You all notice that? Notice how they keep talking about the client's loans. So here is what likely could have happened. Now, still don't know how they got this much money accumulated, but this man was addicted to substances according to him. With that all being said, here's what could have happened. Now, if they were going for a big settlement such as $1 million or in the hundreds of thousands, those type of settlements or those type of lawsuits tend to last for a long time. It could take a year or so, even more, to settle that, to reach an agreement. With that all being said, sometimes if you're financially strapped and you have money coming in for a case, your attorneys will sometimes loan you money. Okay? They'll loan you money because they know they're just going to get it back when the settlement money comes in, and they can just deduct whatever you owe them from that. Or there's these different companies that attorneys hook their clients up with sometimes, and you can also borrow money from them against your loan, okay, against your settlement money. And your attorneys can verify that there is in fact a settlement coming to you and for the approximate amount of the settlement. And so sometimes these people will loan you money, and of course they're going to charge you interest. And so by the time you get the settlement, well, you owe all of that money back first. And that is then deducted before you get the final settlement. Now, by the fact that this man was on drugs, maybe he kept coming back for loans. Maybe he kept coming back for loans. Who knows? I still find it interesting if he basically, took out that many loans to where it left him with only $5,000. Okay? But that could be the case because things like that do happen. All right? Things like that do happen. Goodness Raider Bo said, do you see drug money on the receipts, Queen? Claudette said that's what it sounds like. Yes, that is what it sounds like because he was already on drugs, no telling how bad of an addiction he had. He said he was struggling and all these things. He may have been borrowing against his own settlement. Okay, Mr. Detroit says he probably borrowed out. Exactly. Okay, now, but let's continue because this is all nefarious. So the Busby defendants kept Goody in the dark as his loans grew by 20%. Now, this exploitive practice not only violated ethical standards, but also compounded Goody's financial hardship and vulnerability. The Busby defendants breached their legal and ethical duties to Goody, along with John Doe's 1 through 10. The Busby defendants unjustly enriched themselves at Goody's expense. Such conduct would be unethical in a standard business transaction. It is unconscionable in an attorney-client relationship. Now, plaintiff Adam Goody is a citizen of the United States of Louisiana, or the United States of the state of Louisiana, who resides in Lafarge Parish, Louisiana. Defendant Anthony G. Busby is a citizen of Texas who, on information and belief, resides in Harris County, Texas. Okay, so then in the footnote, it talks about all the money. This amount was for loans. This is what it says right here. $85,000. Listen to this. This guy absolutely was doing what I just told you. Okay, it says right here in the footnote, $85,450 of this amount was for loans to Goody, and $13,635 was to satisfy a third-party loan Goody had taken out for living expenses. See, this man was borrowing against his own settlement. This is true under the American Bar Association's model rules of professional conduct, the Texas disciplinary rules of professional Professional Conduct and the Louisiana Rules of Professional Conduct. So he was absolutely taking out loans. Defendant Anthony G. Busby, LP, doing business as the Busby Law Firm, is a law firm that is organized under the laws of the state of Texas and that operates its principal place of business from Harris County, Texas. Upon information and belief, no members or employees of the Busby Law Firm Limited Partnership reside in the state of Louisiana. Now, John Doe's 1 through 10, and I think Busby has licenses to practice law in a myriad of states, okay? Because I did some research on him, and he's had lawsuits all over the place, okay? He's had lawsuits all over the place, so clearly he has multiple licenses in different states. Ladybug became a member. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. This is all nefarious. Now, it goes on to say that John Doe's 1 through 10 are individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but who participated in, contributed to, or benefited from the wrongful actions described herein. These parties may include, but are not limited to, employees, agents, or affiliates of Tony Busby, the Busby Law Firm, or other individuals or entities involving in handling Goodry's case and settlement. Upon information and belief, John Doe's 1 through 10 are not residents of the state of Louisiana. They will be added as their identity and respective roles in the wrongful conduct described herein become known through discovery. This court has jurisdiction. Okay, we're going to skip over all this jurisdictional information. Now, here are the facts. Tony Busby is a relentless self-promoter. The Busby defendants rely on Tony Busby's quasi-celebrity status to lure Louisiana residents such as Goody to the Busby Law Firm. I'm sorry, how is that illegal? You're supposed to be a self-promoter. You're supposed to promote yourself, okay? And that's how you get your clients. But let me continue. Tony Busby draws attention to himself and his firm by representing and suing celebrities, by broadcasting his wealth on social media, and recently by parking a World War II tank in front of his home in an affluent Houston neighborhood. What? Okay, that sounds crazy. At the end of the day, this man can present himself however he chooses, okay? Now, in 2020, Goody was referred to the Busby Law Firm. Goody had been severely injured while working aboard the General Eisenhower. In February of 2020, the Busby Law Firm filed suit against Callan Marine Ltd. Okay, Callan Marine, the owner of the General Eisenhower. Despite initially valuing Goody's claim at $1 million, the Busby defendants coerced Goody into settling his case for less than 1/3 of that amount. Well, maybe the other people didn't want to give him $1 million. Okay, and if they did coerce him or convince him, he still signed off on it. So that's his own fault. Like I said, you don't have to agree to it. If it's not what you want, tell them no. Now, in doing so, the Busby defendants failed to inform Goody of his options, including the implications of settlement versus trial. The Busby defendants, and here's the thing, I don't know if I believe that, because one thing about it is when you go to a law firm, and those of you who've ever had to deal with a settlement issue, whether it's for an accident or any other type of personal injury lawsuit, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, that when you go to a law firm with this type of claim, they basically tell you up front that it's going to be a 33 1/3 if we just come to a settlement agreement. But if we have to take it to trial, it's going to be like 40%. So they usually tell you up front that you have the option to just settle or go to trial. So I don't really know if I believe that. I don't think I believe that they didn't tell him that he had the option to go to trial. Now, most of these attorneys don't want to go to trial because that can be long and lengthy. They prefer to just, negotiate a settlement agreement. Okay. And so at the end of the day, I don't believe they didn't tell him that. Now, anyway, that's just my opinion. Now, the Busby defendants concealed critical information from Goody about skyrocketing expenses and the paltry amount Goody would receive upon settlement. Relying on his attorneys, Goody settled for $325,000. Okay. When these funds were distributed, Goody received $5,123. That's because he was borrowing against it. He was probably borrowing against his own money. Let's not forget that he owed them probably 33 1/3. Let's not forget that he also claims that he took out money for living expenses. So the Busby defendants kept Goody uninformed and exploited his vulnerability to unjustly enrich themselves. Based on information and belief, Busby's defendants have a pattern of using these predatory practices against their clients. Busby represented Guadalupe Garza, who was injured while working on a vessel owned by Callan Marine. Busby sued Callan Marine in Nueces County, Texas. Under federal law, Garza was entitled to receive maintenance and cure payments. According to court filings, Callan Marine was instructed to make maintenance and cure payments for Garza to the Busby law firm, but Garza never received the payments. Now, Callan Marine subpoenaed records from the Busby law firm to find out where the payments went. Rather than providing records in defense of their actions, the Busby defendants opposed the subpoena. At a hearing in the Garza case, Callan Marine's counsel stated that other Busby clients have reported not receiving maintenance and cure paid to the Busby law firm. B, according to records, Busby defendants deposited maintenance and cure payments into its operating account rather than its trust accounts. And C, the Busby law firm apparently repackages maintenance and cure payments intended to provide living expenses for injured workers into loans, which must be repaid with interest. There they go talking about those loans again. Now, a similar case illustrates a pattern. In Thompson versus Busby, the Busby law firm allegedly misappropriated maintenance and cure payments owed to Matthew Ray Thompson Jr., a deckhand injured when his vessel collided with another. Like Goody, Thompson alleges he was kept in the dark as the Busby law firm ran up expenses, including high interest loans to Thompson. You know what? I believe they did this too. I believe they did this. And the reason I believe they did this is because, for one, attorneys do stuff like this. Attorneys absolutely do stuff like this. How do I know? Because that same woman that was my attorney tried to do that to me. When I asked her for a breakdown because I had to pay medical expenses out of my settlement, like the chiropractor, and things like that, right? And I also went to a neurologist. So with that all being said, when I asked her to send me a breakdown of the bills, she types up something and sends it to me. And I told her, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. That is not proof. You could type up anything and inflate the numbers. For all I know, I don't trust you. I want to see the actual bills from the neurologist and from the chiropractor. That's what I want to see. And so I went in on her. And so what I ended up doing was I went to the neurologist myself. Now, the chiropractor was working in cahoots with her. I later found out that was her friend. But I went to the neurologist and I asked the lady at the front desk, could she give me a copy of my statements? And which she did. And it was significantly lower than what this bitch had told me in the documents that she simply typed up herself. So lawyers absolutely do such things. Okay, so please pay attention. Bobo says, exactly, Queen, and they tell you the fees and percentage. Also, they will take the case for free if they think it's a good case and get paid after settlement happens. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what they often do, beloved, specifically in these personal injury cases. Okay, because if they don't think they can win, they're not even going to take the case. So with that all being said, but they absolutely will lie about how much you owe for this, that, and the third. These lawyers, they will do it now. Okay, Mr. Mystical Black Brown says, Buzbee is way petty and May got you beat. Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, he is too petty. Well, if he's pettier than me, honey, he is also absolutely nefarious. Okay, because I'm Petty LaBelle. Please pay attention. And I have no problem telling people that. Y'all already know. So in another case, Callan Marine moved to designate Busby, the Busby law firm, and Chris Levitt, an attorney at the Busby law firm, as responsible third parties for maintenance and cure that Callan Marine paid, but its clients, LaQuille Tyner, never received. Now, They say in connection with these contested allegations, but in compliance with its obligations under the Jones Act, defendant Callan paid maintenance and pure payments to the Anthony G. Buzbee LP, the Buzbee firm. These funds, which even included some of Mr. Tyner's unearned advances, were paid to Buzbee, to the Busby firm, because that was following their demand. Callan was unaware that they were not getting the credit that was due, or that these payments were being converted by the Busby firm to appear as tokens of their own generosity. It is clear that Mr. Tyner alleges in his pleading that he did not receive all funds that he thought were due from Callan, and that he was harmed by the conduct. What Mr. Tyner did not know was that it was his own lawyers who were intercepting the funds, and that his own attorney failed to place them in the IOLTA amounts. I don't know what that stands for. Now, even worse, these same attorneys have attempted to conceal their own shameful conduct and transform it into a larger demand award for their clients. It was the conduct of the responsible third parties that created the lawyer-induced disappointment of Mr. Tyner in his employer, Callan. Now, it was these same lawyers and this firm who failed to protect said funds in an IOLTA account or distribute them properly to Mr. Tyner. Okay, so they go on to list more cases, and then they say, Tony Busby's misconduct apparently is not limited to client finances. According to a news report less than a month ago, Tony Busby flew into a fit of rage and physically assaulted a client that he was representing in a divorce. Now, we already know about that because she filed the lawsuit. Now, it says in the footnote, November 21st of 2024, and they have this link to TMZ. It says, she is alleging that she is in a public place with Busby. When she saw Busby, he flew into a fit of rage and pushed a champagne flute in her face. So Goody incorporates the preceding paragraphs by reference as if restated fully herein. Goody had an attorney-client relationship with Busby defendants as his attorneys. Busby defendants owed Goody duties of loyalty and care, including to act in his best interest, to keep him informed, to advise him concerning options, to safeguard his funds, to put his interests above their own, and to provide competent representation. Now, Busby defendants breached these duties to Goody, including by failing to keep him informed regarding his litigation, failing to advise him concerning his options, misleading him concerning the value of his claim, failing to manage expenses reasonably in relation to the value of his claim, charging him excessive interest on advances, and claiming a grossly excessive portion of Goody's settlement for themselves. Busby defendants' acts, omissions, and breaches have damaged Goody in an amount that will be proven at trial. Goody incorporates the preceding paragraphs by reference as if restated fully herein. Busby defendants, along with John Doe's 1 through 10, intentionally and or negligently exploited their position of trust and authority as Goody's attorneys to justify or to unjustly enrich themselves at Goody's expense. Without limitation, the Busby defendants failed to keep Goody informed during the representation, failed to advise him of his options, and failed to disclose to him the ramifications of settlement versus trial. The Busby defendants denied Goody opportunities to approve or reject costly experts, inflated and concealed expenses that were not reasonable given the value of Goody's settlement, and failed to reasonably manage, protect, and preserve Goody's funds. Additionally, the Busby defendants overcharged Goody by running up expenses and charging excessive interest on loans. John Doe's 1 through 10 are individuals or entities whose identities are currently unknown, but who participated in, contributed to, or benefited from the wrongful actions described herein, including the actions and omissions that led to the unjust enrichment of themselves and the Busby defendants. A claim for unjust enrichment requires proof of 5 elements, you guys. The first is an enrichment of the defendant. The second is an impoverishment of the plaintiff. Third is a causal connection between the enrichment and the impoverishment. 4, an absence of justification or cause for either the enrichment or the impoverishment. And 5, the lack of any other remedy at law. The Busby defendants in John Doe's 1 through 10 were enriched by appropriating Goody's settlement funds, inflating and concealing expenses, and imposing excessive interest and fees on loans for living expenses. Goody was correspondingly impoverished by these actions, as these funds intended to support his recovery. They were unjustly diverted for the benefit of the Busby defendants. There is no justification or cause for attorneys using concealment and deceit to enrich themselves while impoverishing their client. Goody lacks an adequate remedy at law because, among other things, the Busby defendants violated fiduciary duties that do not exist in traditional contract claims. As a direct result of their intentional and or negligent acts and omissions, Busby defendants in John Doe's 1 through 10 wrongfully obtained financial benefits to which they were not entitled. Their unjust enrichment was at the expense and impoverishment of Goody. Goody seeks restitution and an award of damages in an amount to be proven at trial sufficient to discourage improper financial benefits obtained by the Busby defendants in John Doe's 1 through 10 and to compensate Goody for his losses. Excuse me. Goody incorporates the proceedings paragraphs. Okay, we're going to skip that. Busby defendants John Doe's 1 through 10 negligently failed to exercise reasonable care and skill of competent attorneys while representing Goody. Without limitation, the Busby defendants failed to manage Goody's case and its expenses, failed to keep Goody informed about material aspects of his case, failed to include Goody in decisions concerning expenditures or experts, failed to advise Goody of his options concerning settlement versus trial, and failed to disclose to Goody the impact excessive expenses would have on his recovery. Busby defendants in John Doe's 1 through 10 further failed to reasonably manage, safeguard, and protect Goody's interest and future settlement proceeds by inflating and or failing to control expenses in a reasonable manner in relation to the value of Goody's case. As a direct and proximate result of the negligent acts and omissions of Busby defendants in John Doe's 1 through 10, Goody suffered financial harm and other damages to be proven at trial. Goody seeks an award that will fully compensate him for the harm caused by the negligent acts and omissions of Busby defendants and John Doe's 1 through 10. This is all so nefarious. So you all heard that. Now it says, wherefore premises considered, plaintiff Adam Goody prays for judgment against defendants Anthony G. Busby, Anthony G. Busby LP, doing business as the Busby Law Firm, and John Doe's 1 through 10 in the form of a judgment against defendants on all counts and an award in excess of $250,000, including disgorgement of unjustly obtained benefits, actual damages, statutory damages, punitive damages, reasonable and necessary attorney and expert fees, court cost, and all other relief the plaintiff may deem appropriate. And this was filed on December the 13th. I'm sorry. Yeah, I do believe that this also has something to do with Jay-Z's team. Now, that's just my opinion. I could be absolutely wrong, but then again, I could be absolutely right. So what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this? I find it all interesting. Okay? I find it all interesting. All right? So let's have a brief word from my sponsor before we continue. And I'm about to wrap this up. Okay? So everyone, please hit that like button. It's the least you can do.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, honey, this is all getting real crazy, like I said. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. I mean, they're pulling everything out of here, talking about this venereal disease that's incurable. You know, all of these lawsuits coming up out of the woodwork. I have several questions. What do you all think? So what do you guys think? um, Luna says you're absolutely right. Bingo. Thank you. Okay, Queen Trish says Rock Nation working overtime, and we're seeing how they get down right in front of our eyes. I'm saying I absolutely believe it. I absolutely agree with you, beloved, because it sounds like desperation to me. I mean, it just reeks of desperation. At the end of the day, even if this last guy's lawsuit is true, because it does seem plausible, and it does seem like maybe they took a lot of his money, but some of it, let's not forget, came from him taking out those loans. Now, he said something about a 27%, 27% of the loans. Now, at the end of the day, you know, after a certain amount, it's called usury. If you're charging these very high interest rates on loans, that's illegal. It's absolutely called usury. Now, I don't know what the Busby law firm was charging him. Okay. But if it was overly excessive, that could, you know, result in usury, like I said, which is absolutely illegal. But the bottom line is, why is this man just now filing this in December? Why is this man just now filing this in December? I find that very suspicious, to say the least. Okay. Kamisi says Rock Nation is reaching. They absolutely could be. Okay. Sophomore Martinez says, and Busby still has that evidence of how Jay-Z's folks have been moving right. Yes. Yes. And that's the thing. That's the thing. But let me tell you guys something. You know why Jay-Z and Rock Nation are desperate? I want you all to pay attention to something. Remember how I told you guys? And remember, you heard this here first. Now, remember how I told you guys that the reason Jay-Z would not, now this is my opinion, Jay-Z maintains his innocence, as does Diddy. But if Jay-Z is guilty of anything pertaining to Diddy and the allegations against him, well, that would be a good reason for him to not want these lawsuits proceedings to continue against Diddy, because he's already been named in one, right? And who knows what's coming up the pike. But another thing is this. I want you all to pay attention. All Tony Busby has to do is prove in any kind of way, if any more allegations come out against Jay-Z, all Tony Busby then has to do is prove that some way, somehow, money from Jay-Z's Rock Nation or from Jay-Z, period, was connected to Diddy's money. And then bam, a RICO case, just like that. I want you all to pay attention. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. Because then he could clearly implicate him in Diddy's RICO. All right? So this is all nefarious. And like I said, Jay-Z is definitely desperate. And how do we know that he's desperate? Well, for one, when Alex Spiro came out and tried to tell us that Diddy and Jay-Z were never friends, that there was no long-time bond, that they were just business associates, that reeked of desperation right there. And like the attorney whom I played for you earlier said that, RG Time said, that's a good point, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Okay. And let's not forget, you also heard this here first. I told you all months ago that there's going to be a superseding indictment against Diddy. And who knows what nefarious allegations will be in that. Okay? Who knows what nefarious allegations will be in that? Okay, so please pay attention. Now, this is all crazy. This is all absolutely crazy. So, Giggle says Jay-Z would have been better off just keeping quiet like he's done any other time there has been a rumor. Hit dogs holler. Right. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree, beloved. I cannot say that that doesn't make sense because it absolutely does. Okay? It absolutely makes sense. But the fact that he came out, you know, going straight for the jugular on Tony Busby. And now we have these things coming out. And this lady talking about venereal diseases and all this. Yeah, this reeks of a smear campaign. Okay. Looks like somebody is trying to get Tony Busby discredited. Looks like they're trying to discredit him. That's what that looks like. Okay. Miss J says desperation leaves room for mistakes and hasty decisions in bad conscience. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And their first hasty decision and their first mistake was trying to lie and say that they weren't friends, Jay-Z and Diddy. That can be easily disproven in a court of law. That can be easily disproven if they sit for a deposition. And once that is proven, because trust me, that will be brought up again. And once that is proven to be a lie, then there goes credibility out the door. Now, if you would lie about something so minuscule, something that could be so easily debunked, what wouldn't you lie about? What wouldn't you lie about? Okay? After that, you leave it open for people to not believe anything that you have to say. I mean, if you lie about something so trivial, of course you'll lie about something major, extremely significant. So that's just all crazy. At the end of the day, Jay-Z needs to move very carefully because, like I said, Tony Busby could easily get him attached to that RICO case against Diddy. Reggie says, isn't that what they do? Start the rumors, then propagate them in the media for maximum impact? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what they do, beloved. Okay, real as it gets says Jay-Z and Diddy on tapes together. I believe they probably are. I absolutely believe they probably are. Arjumon says this will make one hell of a miniseries. Yes, it absolutely will, beloved. I feel like I'm in the midst of one right now. This seems like a whole Netflix movie. Okay? This feels like a whole Netflix movie. Juju said, Queen, let's do Trivia Friday. Let's do trivia on Jay-Z. That's it. I'm glad you brought that up because we are going to have Trivia Friday tomorrow. We are going to have Trivia Friday tomorrow, beloveds. Make sure you tune in because we're going to be doing trivia and I'm going to be giving away some free ebooks. Okay. So for the winners and the questions that I'm going to be asking will have everything to do with Jay-Z and all of these videos that I've been doing about him this week. So if you missed any broadcast and you want to play in trivia and hopefully win, then please go back and watch, okay? Whatever broadcast you missed, you might want to go back and watch because at the end of the day, that's absolutely what we're going to do tomorrow, Juju. Thank you for reminding me to make that announcement, beloved. Reggie says, great broadcast, Queen. Thank you. Luna Walker said, we will call the movie The Groomers. Okay. TC Dad says, Queen, did you hear about Fonnie Willis? No, I haven't focused on her lately, honey. Okay. Real as a guest says, you can't make this stuff up. All right. So anyway, shout out to the replay gang. Okay. For those who missed the broadcast because you didn't get your notifications or for whatever reason, shout out to all of those that'll be catching this on the replay. And let me say this also, with that all being said, listen, if you have not been receiving notifications or you want to know when I'm going live, you can simply send me your email. Okay, send me an email to QueenAhmadiyyah at gmail.com. Put in there, just put email list. That's all you have to do. Send me an email and put email list. Okay, therefore, before I go live, I will send all of you the link via email, okay, and the time, just like I do on the spiritual channel. Okay, so just send me your email and put on there email list. That's all you have to do, and then I'll put you on my email list, and then I'll send you the information. Okay. So that all been said, Mr. Mystical Black Realm says Christian Combs can't keep his mouth shut. He's now taken over his father's IG account and believe he will expose Jay-Z. You never know. You never know. Thank you, Desmond. Desmond just put my email in the chat. It's QueenAhmadiyyah@gmail.com. Okay, so with that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. This was hilarious, okay? Everyone, please like and share this video before you roll out of here. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all tomorrow. Don't forget, we're going to be having Trivia Fridays. We're going to get it popping, okay? And so with that all been said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Yo, Nick, hit him with that flavor.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got